How would you ensure that citizens of your district have their civil rights protected? How would you ensure that citizens of your district have their civil rights protected?
How would I ensure that their civil rights are protected? Well, I am available to anyone. If you look at any of my literature, any of my handouts and pamphlets, it has my phone numbers on there, and I've only gotten a couple of prank phone calls so far, but my email address is on there. I will listen to what anybody has to say. I had one guy call me 3 times on Sunday and went into Sunday night from up by Brookston, up in St. Louis County. So he had some things he wanted to express. So, in fact, he came to our debate up there tonight. So it's good to see the involvement. I encouraged him to come. You know, as far as their civil rights, I'll fight for anybody that has an issue. If there's one person versus the county or one person versus the state, maybe they want to dig a pond out back or something, and they found out that they have to get the Army Corps of Engineers permission, plus the DNR, plus the U.S. Fish and Wildlife or something. I will go and find out what the situation is for that person, for his civil rights, if that's what his civil rights issue is. If it's something more critical to deal with some of the other topics we've been talking about tonight, and some of the voter, some of the amendments that the voters will be able to vote on this fall, you know, I will listen to anybody's point of view, even if it differs from what I believe in. I still will listen, and I will always correspond back. And so anybody that's in this district should be comfortable and confident knowing that I will listen to their calls, I will take their calls, and I will try to represent them at the state.
Tim, to you next. How would you ensure that citizens of your district have their civil rights protected?
Well, the first thing I think that any legislator needs to do to protect those civil rights is to make sure that you vote in a way that protects everybody's civil rights. I think that's the most important thing. There are things that legislators have control over, and there's things that legislators do not have control over. And so if somebody's civil rights are being violated, and this is based on when I've been there, a lot of times the best thing you can do is point them in the right direction, put them in contact with the legal services in their area so that they have a voice, so that they can have a chance to fight this if their civil rights are being taken away. And so it really depends a lot on what civil rights are being taken away, but I think that the most important thing is to vote in a way that you don't try to take anyone's civil rights away. And then I agree with Bill, to be available to when people contact you, and I had over 1,000 people contacting me every year, and we try to get back to everyone. A few people have told me over the years that, oh, you didn't get back to me. Well, that's very few and far between. We got back to everyone. We tracked down who they needed to talk to. We helped them with their issues, and some of them were civil rights issues, some of them were other issues. And we always helped them find the right people they needed to talk to try to resolve the issues. So I guess that's
Thank you. Ben, to you next. How would you ensure that citizens of your district have their civil rights protected?
Well, I think this is probably one question that we're all going to be in pretty much agreement on. There are a lot of resources out there already, and the biggest thing is finding the right office and the right person to talk to, and pointing people in the right direction. And as if I happen to be elected and I'm your state legislator, my door will always be open. My phone line, you can feel free to give me a call anytime, and I will try to get you in touch with the people who can directly address whatever issue you have. Right now, my wife is a township clerk, so we field a lot of calls. There are a lot of things rural townships don't have zoning on or other issues. And so then it's a matter of connecting them with the county or connecting them with the state office so that they can get their issue resolved. As a military officer, a lot of times you may not know the answer, but you have the responsibility to find the right answer and get it for that person who needs it. As a legislator, that's exactly what I would do if I was elected. I would work with people when they have questions, when they have concerns, when they have issues, and we would get those addressed by the proper agency and proper authority.
Thank you. And finally to you, Tony, how would you ensure that citizens of your district have their civil rights protected?
First off, John, I think I know that zoning issue up in Finlayson that generated all the calls. I got many of those myself. I didn't realize your wife was clerk up there, but tricky issues. And you know, first off, I need to say the civil rights in the state of Minnesota should be the same no matter where you live, in whatever district. And I think that everyone in the legislature does take that very, very seriously. And constituent services, trying to make sure that people get routed to the right places, that they get the help that they need, in whatever manner it takes to make sure that their rights are being observed carefully. And I'll say the manner in which I organized my staff, you know, we have one legislative assistant in the Minnesota Senate, and we get to hire them ourselves, and many of us go and hire young, you know, passionate partisan campaign staff, and it, you know, I get that, and I really enjoy these people. But myself, I took a different route. I got somebody who worked on both sides of the aisle over more than a 20-year career in the Minnesota legislature, and understands the nuts and bolts of how the government works, how each agency works, has deep contacts and good relations with everybody in the agencies, and I myself worked hard to work with the agencies, even when you know, I was in the majority working in under an administration of a different party. I worked very, very hard with those agencies so that I had those contacts and those relationships, so that when constituents reached out to me with an issue, I could do my very best at guiding them to the right place to properly address their needs. That's a big piece of the work that gets done in St. Paul. Most of the calls that come into the office do not require a change to legislation. Most of them require getting it to the right person, getting our state agencies to be responsive and meet the needs of people, and they want to do that. I find them very receptive when I take that approach.